Hi students, welcome to another session. So far we are dealing with unit 3, that is basis of human behavior, and in that we are particularly seeing the evolution of human beings in two ways, that is biological and cultural. And then we have seen the structure of neuron, which is the basic unit of human being or the human structure, and we have seen the functions of the nervous system. And uh, we are now dealing with the nervous system in detail, that is how it is divided, what are the system subsystems involved in nervous system, that is central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and then somatic, autonomic, and sympathetic, parasympathetic, endocrine systems. These are the subsystems involved in neural nervous system. And then uh, in the last session we have detailedly discussed about peripheral nervous system, which is the connecting between the human body organs and the central nervous system. And then today we now have a new session, that is central nervous system. We will see basically in the central nervous system it is the brain, right? Our sessions, everything revolves around this brain. So brain is the most important part in central nervous system, and everything, it is like it is the center for human body in terms of behavior, action, any reaction, whatever the thing, either conscious, unconscious, subconscious. This brain is the central location, anything to happen in a human body. So today we will be dealing with central nervous system. Particularly we will start trying to understand the human brain. Okay, let us move into the session. So the title of the session is central nervous system, and particularly we will see the structure of the brain, the basic structure of the brain. And in the coming session we will be exclusively discussing the structure of the brain and what the whole brain is about. Even though you have a better understanding about brain in the past classes or standards, like in your 10th class or board, SSC board. So now we will try to be minutely in detail, like we will get some understanding about the brain. Let us see what is there in the session. So the first, the central nervous system is the center of all neural activity. It integrates all incoming sensory information, performs all kinds of cognitive activities, and issues motor commands to muscles and glands. The CNS comprises of brain and spinal cord. You will now read about the functions of the major parts of the brain and for what behaviors is each part responsible. So brain, spinal cord. These are the two parts of central nervous system, CNS. Okay, and so in the earlier sessions, like neurons, they will be connected in like a web. So let us see. Yeah, even though please bear with me for these bad diagrams. So see, these are the neurons, group of neurons. So that can be sensory, motor, whatever. So what is the central? What is the purpose of neuron? It connects everything to the brain. Everything to the brain. And the other role that balances body, which we said, that is a spinal cord. Even though spinal cord is also connected to the brain, the instructions to the spinal cord or anything to happen has to happen from the spinal cord, but spinal cord is also dependent on the brain. Is also dependent on the brain. It is a very important point which we have to remember in central nervous system. Even though spinal cord is a part, but The functioning of the spinal cord itself is also controlled by brain. Yes, it is important part in the central nervous system, but it still has connection to brain. Okay, let us see in detail about what is there in uh, this session. Particularly, we will see what is the structure of the brain. So, and before going to, if you can recall unit 1, that is mind and behavior. There is a topic of mind and behavior, how behavior is related to mind. Now, as a part of third unit, that is basis of behavior, we are you're seeing the physical components. That is how a physical component that is physically visible, uh, if and only if we open the brain or the skull area, we can see brain, right? What is all in the brain? What happens in the brain? How the mind works? Even though mind is a tangible thing, but what is the base? It is the brain, right? Let us now understand some link between brain and behavior. So it is believed that human brain has evolved over millions of years from the brains of lower animals, and this evolutionary process still continues. First of all, in the earlier, if you can see a whale, we see the whale, dog, cat, and the other animals, and then we compare it to the human beings. If we can go back to the earlier sessions, we have seen the evolutionary process. The man here, standing here today, is more than 2 lakh years old. The brain the knowledge which we are using today is the day-to-day improvement since lakhs of years. Okay, we can examine the levels of structures of the brain from its earliest to the most recent form in the process of evolution. That is the development of organisms. Organisms. That is the animals, whatever the structure has developed through the animal kingdom. Animal kingdom. So now the process, the man's human brain is the most developed thing. That is Homo sapiens. We discussed in the initial sessions that 191 of these type of similar kind of brains. The 192 is the Homo sapien brain, which is the most developed brain. And now in the 20th century, it is the most sophisticated brain, and the brain itself can create another brain. And now let us continue with the session. The limbic system, brain stem, and cerebellum are the oldest structures. So the limbic system, which we will be seeing in detail in the coming sessions, brain stem, the medulla oblongata, spinal cord, and cerebellum. These are the parts of old brain. Like in the chimpanzee, the monkeys, or the highly developed animals. So like a dog. Okay, so these are all regular parts. But what is the new one? While cerebral cortex or cerebrum is the latest development in the course of evolution. So this part, cerebral cortex, has started developing in the what? In the modern human beings. An adult brain weighs about 1.36 kg and contains around 100 billion neurons. Of all the neurons of the body, 100 billions of neurons, just remember 1.36 kg, it is about 1% of the human body. And however, the most amazing thing about the brain is not its number of neurons, but its ability to guide the human behavior. Yes. Even though the human brain, human brain, but how it manages the typical behavior. Even we are seeing number of times we are telling the discussing that human behavior is very complex, but what is it is making complex? And still, what manages this complex behavior? It's still the brain. And what is the one which is very developed? Cerebral cortex, that differentiates human beings from the other animals. Okay, the brain is organized into structures, and regions that perform specific functions. In the earlier, we said cognitive functions which are unique to human being. Most of the cognitive functions which makes us stand apart from the animals. Creativity. Animals do the same thing, but human being with the learning, he can learn new things and develop himself or herself. Brain has no gender. Okay. Brain scanning reveals that while some mental functions are distributed among different areas of the brain, many activities are localized also. For example, so brain, as we have said, it is complex. We cannot define everything in it is happening, but still there are few areas. Few areas we can say midbrain, frontal brain, hindbrain. We will see these details in the coming minutes. So what is there? There is an occipital lobe. The brain is divided into four major lobes. Let us see. This will be explained in the coming sessions. Brain is specialized for the area of vision. That is, the eye is connected to occipital lobe, parietal lobe. We will see these lobes in detail in the coming session. In the coming sessions, and in this now we will see what is the basically divided brain. That is, so this is the simple structure of the brain, uh, like a two-dimensional diagram. This is the half part only. As I said, this is the 2 dimension. It is not the 3 dimension. If you can see the other part, I will just rotate it if possible. Sorry, it is not possible. So this is the half of the part which we can say. On the other side also, there is the similar part. This is like bisecting brain. Like in the 3D image, you will see that the bisecting of the brain. Okay, you will have leaf there, you will have leaf here. This is what a brain. This is the back side of the brain. The other side of the brain, this can be this way. This way. So this is one side, and what is the, that is what is all we said, the cerebrum cortex, the cerebral cortex or cerebrum, the muscle-like structure on the brain. It is like a tube-like structure which surrounds the brain, where these activities are distributed all over the brain, and it is the most connected everywhere. Okay, next, then pineal gland. Pineal gland is very important gland which we will be discussing these glands in the endocrine system. Pineal gland is one other part in structure of the brain. Next to it is brainstem. Brainstem is the connecting area to the spinal cord. So we'll see spinal cord, that is here the spinal cord extends to the human body. Extends to the base of the human body, that is we said spinal cord. And as said, autonomic nervous system, peripheral nervous system is part which connects the brain and the other parts, right? Next, brain stem, we said, that is midbrain, that is the top of the brain, and the lower brain, it is the midbrain, where the midbrain and pons. Pons is the, it is a some bump like structure. on the base of the brain. So next to it is medulla oblongata, which is responsible for reflex actions. So this is medulla oblongata is also another important part of the brain. Generally, in lower classes, we will see cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata as three parts. But in C, the details has increased. Next to it, the leaf-like structure. The leaf-like structure is the cerebellum. This is responsible for balancing of human being, and we will see these in details in the coming sessions. Next is the spinal cord of it is also, as said, spinal cord is connected to the brain. Thalamus, this is the relay station. This is responsible for the day-to-day activities, and what is going, you can understand this thalamus is very important one. Hypothalamus and pituitary gland, we have hippocampus, there are many other parts. These are the basics of structure of the brain. Okay, pituitary gland, what are the two major glands in brain directly connected? Pineal gland and pituitary gland. And then thalamus is very important one, we will see in detail in the coming sessions. Okay, this is the basic structure of the brain which is discussed in the prescribed textbook. If you want, you can check the other reference materials for more details. So next, moving to the next slide. So as said, in this session, the basic structure of the brain is discussed. So particularly for the convenience of the study, the brain can be divided into three parts. That is hindbrain, that is backside of the brain, midbrain, which we said, and forebrain. So basically, if we can see, the hindbrain is the backside of the brain. Midbrain is where the stems and all are located. And the frontal brain, that is forebrain, which is close to eyes. Midbrain is close to ears. It is the neck. So this is the basic structure of brain. So for the simple study, we divided into hindbrain, midbrain, and forebrain. You can call it from the front, forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The hindbrain, what is that? This part of the brain consists of the following structures. Let us see what is there. In the hindbrain earlier we have seen in the brain stem. The brain stem. What is it? There it is pons or pons. P-O-N-S. Okay. Medulla oblongata. And let us see what is there. Medulla oblongata. The first part we are discussing is medulla or medulla, whatever you call. It is the lowest part of the brain that exists in continuation of the spinal cord. It contains neural centers which regulates the basic life supporting activities like breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. This is why medulla is known as the vital center of the brain. It has some centers of autonomic activities also. That autonomous nervous system which we discussed in the earlier session, this autonomic nervous system which balances. If you can see, we have seen a diagram of human being. This sympathetic and parasympathetic is the two parts. Sympathetic, which increases the activity, parasympathetic, which normalizes the activities. So both are balanced by autonomous nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is part of medulla. What it is controlling? The breathing. We are breathing unconsciously. The heart beats unconsciously. The kidney functions unconsciously. All these unconscious functions which are part of the birth and everything, it is not controlled by us. But still you can control, but it is a natural process which is going on. And the part which has the connection is the medulla. Okay, so next. So part of the hindbrain is medulla. Then pons. It is connected with medulla on one side and with the midbrain on the other. So in the brain, the base of the brain, the medulla is the pawn, it is a bump-like structure in the brain, is connected to the midbrain and medulla. Okay, this is what? A nucleus, neural central of pons, receives auditory signals relayed by our ears. It is believed that pons is involved in sleep mechanism, particularly the sleep characterized by dreaming. It contains nuclei affecting respiratory movement and facial expressions also. So what is involved in the bump-like structure in the basic stem that is connected to midbrain and medulla? Medulla is autonomous nervous system is connected. Midbrain we will see. So what is the pons responsible for? That is auditory signals that is related to ears. Next, sleep and particularly dream activity, and then respiratory movement and facial expression. So these are the things responsible by which are connected to pons. Okay, pons or pons, whatever the pronunciation about your comfortability. Next, the important one of the brain stem or the hind brain is cerebellum. Cerebellum, this is highly developed part of the hindbrain, can be easily recognized by its wrinkled surface. That is the leafy structure that is here, that is cerebellum. It maintains and controls posture and equilibrium of the body. Its main function is coordination of muscular movements through the motor commands originate from the forebrain. The cerebellum receives and coordinates them to relay muscles. It also stores the memory of movement patterns so that we do not have to concentrate on how to walk, dance, ride a bicycle. Cerebellum has a very key role on our day-to-day life. This is like our learning, our major learning of muscle activity. You know, in the earlier sessions, in first unit, I said there is memory in our neurons, that is biological memory. We can also say it as episodic memory, autobiographical memory. All these memories are much connected to cerebellum in our brain, where these learnings are permanent learnings. If you ride a bicycle, initially you don't know what it is, but still, next, posture and equilibrium. It is the balance, how you are balancing the vehicle, that is a cycle or a bike, two-wheeler. It can't stand, right? But how it can be controlled? With the help of cerebellum. The motions, the movement patterns, how you are riding the bicycle, all will be stored. This is also a memory area. For what? For the experiences, for the movements, how you are walking, how to walk. This will be developed from age to age and stores the key functionings of your motor commands. The motor commands, all these will be connected by hindbrain. Hindbrain, these parts of the brain, hindbrain, midbrain and forebrain each are interconnected, and these are responsible for the actions of human behavior. Hope you are getting better understanding over the base knowledge of brain. So next is midbrain. So far we discussed hindbrain. Now we will see midbrain. The midbrain is relatively small in size and it connects to hindbrain with the forebrain. So if you can recall the earlier structure, the pons midbrain is the area where it is connected to forebrain and hindbrain. A few neural centers related to some special reflexes and visuals. Auditory sensations are found here. Earlier, the pons is also responsible for what you hear. Here in the midbrain also there are some auditory sensations. An important part of the midbrain known as reticular activating system. Reticular activating system is responsible for our arousal. That is waking up. So during the fear activity, fight or flight activity. So for the emergency activities, how you are reacting are responsible for reticular or activating system. It also helps us in selecting information from the information. That is attention. For attention also, this RAS is responsible. So what is the main functions of RAS? Reticular activating system for arousal, to react to the behavior in the environment. So this is the main functioning of the midbrain. So what is the part related to? It is a reticular activating system. Forebrain. Next to it is forebrain. This is very important, but we will see very small details. It is considered to the most important part of the brain because it performs all cognitive, emotional and motor activities. So cognitive, emotional and motor activities. So what is not there? This forebrain is connected to whole behavior of the brain. This is the most important part of the brain. And you can say it is the base station of the behavior. Every behavior originates. The sensory organs are connected. The glands are controlled. Everything. Where the cerebral cortex comes into picture. So those will be discussed in the next sessions. So forebrain has four major parts, that is hypothalamus, thalamus, limbic system and cerebrum. So these are the four parts which we have to learn more about because it is handling the cognitive functions, that is creativity, reading, communication, listening. All these cognitive actions are very high things which separates us from animals. So I think in this session you understood the basic structure of the brain and how it is divided, and in the coming sessions we will see more in detail, particularly the brain and how its functioning is. So I think this is the last slide. Yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.